say that it did or didn't, or whatever. Now, I find this amazing, too. October 05, Science News was the first to write about this thing, and it's pretty well established now, but check this out. Advanced Science is the title of the article. Increasingly, judges decide what science, if any, a jury hears. What has happened is people have been going into courts of law with science. It's a Supreme Court issue, by the way. The Supreme Court instructed trial judges to ensure that any scientific evidence that they admit been derived by the scientific method. They say uncertainty flows through science like a river. You know, the Supreme Court has even acknowledged if something does not follow the scientific method, it is not science. And it may not be admitted as evidence as though it is science, because it's not. Well, I would dare say it's the same thing being taught in many of these textbooks and the evidence for evolution page. If it doesn't follow the scientific method, it's not science. Uncertainty flows through science like a river. People are still free to believe. People are free to believe the painting showed up all night by itself, but there's no science for it. The evidence confirms it takes a painter. Hey, people wear glasses. A lot of people in this room have glasses. Now just think about it for a minute. Why do you wear glasses? You know, there is only one reason. There's only one reason. Something started to change in these eyes that realized you couldn't see as well. So you decided, you know what, I need to do something about this issue. So you have glasses. Now think about this for just a minute. Where's your courage? Where's your confidence, man? Hey, maybe evolution's trying to remove our eyes so they can be replaced with something else. And you're stepping in the way of progress. Now I find it amazing. I find it absolutely amazing. The staunch top dog evolutionists the planet has to offer, the highfalutin evolutionists, the tops of any field, know full well when these things start to change, they rush off to somebody that knows how to fix them back up the way they used to be, because that's the way they were supposed to be. These things don't hear as well, you rush off to somebody that knows how to fix them back up the way they used to be, because that's the way they were supposed to be. The old ticker doesn't pump enough, you know, you don't have energy to come up 5 steps, you know, when skin's losing color, you rush off to somebody that knows how to fix it back up the way it used to be, because that's the way it was supposed to be. I find it amazing. Even the staunch top dog evolutionists this planet has to offer at all acknowledge the slightest change in their own body is a bad thing. Something is going wrong. It's not trying to turn into something better down the line. Well, can you imagine a change that would have to happen for this kind of thing to work out? Now, folks, I dare say anybody's free to believe in the face of evidence if they want to. But the evidence confirms the slightest change going on creates a problem, not an evolutionary change that's going to bring about some new something. It doesn't work that way. But nevertheless, finally resolves the debate. You think, okay, we'll see about that. Just remember this, November 07. So the next step, conclusion, was your hypothesis correct? No, so you go revise it and do it. Now, this particular teacher has a 5-year-old daughter. I wish we had a 5-year-old in here. Get some little kids, you know. I wish we had little kids in here. Anybody 5 years old back there somewhere? Anybody? 4, 5, 6-year-old? Anybody? Somebody small? Nobody? Oh, okay. We got one 6-year-old, but nevertheless, you know, it's amazing. Anyway, this lady has a 5-year-old daughter. A lot of times, kids will do little artwork, you know, and they'll, put things like "I love you, mommy," "I love you, daddy." You know, parents take it to the workplace and hang it on the walls, and they're proud of that kind of thing, you know, and they like it, so they do that. Well, this lady has a 5-year-old daughter that do a little artwork, and she takes it to class. She takes it to work and hangs it on the bulletin board. It's over here. Now I'm going to change the slide. I'm going to zoom it up and read what it says underneath it. I find this amazing because I have asked hundreds of 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds to answer the question. Watch this. They always get it right. Here's the picture right here. Here it is zoomed up. And it says, what's wrong with this picture? And every single time, the little child will yell out, "Eat legs!" Fish don't have legs. But you know what I find amazing, folks? After years and years and years of heavy doses of education, you know, and I'm not against education, don't misunderstand. I love science. I love studying. I've been studying all this stuff all my life, man. I love this stuff. But you know what? Evolution has nothing to do with it. But what happens is people they grow up and they get real smart, and they write articles about how fish, over time, got legs and feet and turned and walked on land, gills changed to lungs, and all that kind of mess. Well, people are free to believe that. But there's nowhere you can find it doing it as an experiment today to show it to be science. People are free to believe whatever they want. But it doesn't mean it's science. Again, new science says creation evolution is a battle for science soul. Well, I think it's a battle for people's soul. That's what it's about. Anyway, watch this one. Scientific American, 15 answers to creationist nonsense. I found this one absolutely amazing. The whole issue of this publication was amazing. But nevertheless, I'll show you this one little page right here. Look at this. It's got this big column here, and it says evolution on top. And it's got this one little book down here. It says creationism. Now, of course, we know what one little book that is. That's just the Bible. You know, you folks just have the Bible. We have all of the scientific evidence on our side. All right. Check this right here. This is amazing to me. A Gallup poll from 1999 and a National Science Board poll from 2000 both revealed that close to half the American public rejects evolution. Inadequate education plays a part in this. Confidence in evolution grows with schooling. Now, I find that amazing. I find that utterly amazing. I find that sobering, as a matter of fact. Because I wish we had a 5-year-old who would look at the screen and yell out the answer. Do you realize, folks, the truth is already a 3-year-old child that's never been to church. It's not a God issue. A 3-year-old child that's never even been to church a day in their life knows full well fish don't grow legs and walk out onto the land. The truth is already in there. If they're going to believe something contrary to truth, the truth has to be ripped out first, to be replaced with something. And it's amazing. But nevertheless, it's incredible. How about this one? Nature's, April 05. Support for Darwin increases with level of education. There's another article about this just about 6 months ago, 5 months ago or so. It is an amazing thing to me. It's sobering when I stop and realize, when people think about what's going on. But nevertheless, let me skip some of this. I find this amazing too. The IQ of health. It's going to be sobering. But anyway, look at this. Back to the Raven Johnson biology textbook talking about creationists. They say that our conclusions can be reached only on the basis of faith alone. They are untestable and as such lie outside the realm of science. I dare say that that's not true. In fact, that's exactly opposite. You see, I've got a faith that there's a God that put us here. But I've also got science to show that what God says, everything reproduces after its kind, certainly does that. I do believe we are not untestable by any stretch. We've got all the tests on our side. Now, evolution says that everything goes back to a common ancestor. I'd like to see one common ancestor of something give birth to 6 or 8 or 12 dozen something else's. Much less everything on the planet going back to the same single common ancestor. Folks, people are free to believe that, but you know, that's a basis of faith issue. There's certainly no test to do it. It is untestable. Therefore, by definition, it lies outside the realm of science. I find it amazing that it qualifies then, because there is no science for that in a lot of people's minds. But anyway, here's where the article starts. Scientific creationism in that textbook. Scientific perspective is only one of many worldviews. And it is a worldview. It is a worldview. And the worldview the person holds matters. And it shapes them and affects them and everything about them. But I find this too. This is pretty cool. The fact that science is open to new ideas and constant testing of old ones should give us confidence that science eventually will arrive at the correct answers for the important question. Well, that's telling us they don't have the correct answers yet. Now, a lot of times people, evolutionists will say, scientists, they'll say, well, it's true, we do adapt and adjust and we find things that are great. Well, then don't teach it as a fact because you're admitting that you don't have it yet. So don't teach it as a fact, much less call it a fact as the books do quite often. It is just a belief at the time. In the 1950s, textbooks say something different than the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s even say something different. But yet, that's what the people learned at that time, and they were just as fervent about it at the time, and now it's shown to be not true. It's amazing. Today, more than a century after Darwin, the overwhelming scientific evidence has caused virtually all scientists to agree that life has evolved. Evolutionary change is undeniable from a scientific perspective. Explaining how and why evolution occurs, however, is much more difficult. Well, I find that kind of funny, That's pretty difficult to explain it. Everybody agrees with it. Everybody believes it. But if you can't even explain it, how are you going to do a test to show it? You see, it doesn't really qualify. But nevertheless, and the evolution creation issue has become such a big deal. Even all kinds of publications across the country, as most of you know, are writing articles about it, and people are trying to do different things about it and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, October 09, Newsweek, the angry evolutionists. We had some angry folks in here just a bit ago. More Americans believe in angels than in evolution, and Richard Dawkins isn't going to take it anymore. I mean, it's amazing. I find the hostility and the bitterness and such really kind of amazing. Why is it that a person's belief, from the open-minded community, if somebody doesn't believe what they believe, all of a sudden it's just this bitterness and such. Well, what's the big problem here? Hey, I've said probably 50, 55, 60, or 70 times since we started just yesterday, and I'll say it again. A person is free to believe whatever they want to. Fine. But then don't ridicule somebody else's belief and such.